Hey, hey. Hi, guys. All right, this is part three. Sorry, it was getting lengthy, but we're just now getting to basically the move that they are thinking about making. The fact that they're, by the way, if you didn't see part one and part two, you'll need to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to know where we're jumping in. There is a free link for part two in the description box. If you go back to part two, there you'll find the free link for part one if you need to backtrack on these. Okay. But they are sitting here doing some like nighttime. I feel like this is like prayers, Okay, the things that I need to say to her, the things that I need to tell her about, the things. Do I have the ability to manifest talking to her? And then could I beg some forgiveness and ask her to still want to give to me and see if she could still love me? So we're at that critical moment where it's like, are they really going to bring in the confession? The confession about the whole reason they've played out this huge drawn out thing where they lost her twice. They picked fights instead of reconciled. They that last time that they did the same exact thing where they want to avoid talking about anything serious, especially anything love related, even though they want her in their life. It could have been so confusing to her because they wanted to chit chat with her, have like lighthearted dialogue and stuff like that, but not talk about anything real. So she finally took it as, okay, you just don't want me. In fact, maybe it's an ego boost that it kind of feels like you got me to chase you around. You love thinking that I keep wanting to talk to you about love, but then that you're rude to me and pick fights with me. So you know what? I'm going to let you go. And she did that. We saw that in part two. She accepted this ending. And for her, it's really, really over. And she's gone back to like loving her life as now a Queen of Cups. But he is the one unable. I mean, he's kind of going through hell right now, to be honest. We saw him with the Three of Swords. We saw him unable to let go of this idea of her because she is literally one of the most loving people he has ever known. This is who he is wounded over. This is who he is devastated over. And it's all because he wouldn't tell her whatever his big old secret was, that something he's ashamed of, something that he's a fallen angel over, feels like he got himself into trouble and had been trying to hide all this time. And it was impeding every other aspect of his life. He doesn't really want to let her go though, and it's at that breaking point where she's already gone. He's pushed this away, didn't want to tell her any truth, and he's finally at that point where he's about to surrender and say, what if I just told her the truth? I mean, would there be any chance that she would love me or want me? What if I finally told her the truth? He's at that meltdown moment. So let me just ask, are you really, actually we should probably change decks again. Are you really at that point where you just want to go ahead and confess the whole thing? Everything you kept, the reason you kept it back, the way you actually feel about her. We have Hanged Man, we have Eight of Coins. Once again, the holding back and thinking about things, chewing on this, wondering what to do, wondering if he should, wondering if he has the courage to do this. Six of Cups. This would now be him trying to return to her and then trying to get her to return to him. I don't think he's ever tried to patch things up with her. This is the first time he would be trying to do that, but it is with a very singular intention, which is like, would she ever want me again? Well, you've basically sabotaged this twice epically, in epic fashion. So at this point, with your Four of Coins, this is all you've ever done is held back, tried to give a little bit, but always hold back the majority. And if he's still toying with, I wonder if I could reach out to her, but still not tell her the whole story. Oh man, let the universe weigh in, because I'm about to get all mouthy over here. Let's let the universe weigh in. Universe, what have you got to say to him on this? The Fool card, do it and do it all. You already know. There's no more holding back. If you're ever going to reach out to her, you're going to take that leap and it's going to be full confession or nothing. So you either have to be brave enough, and like their higher self knows this. Their higher self is very aware of this because this is a Sufi dancer, and to my limited knowledge, it's the spinning, the whirling dervish is like an active form of meditation, downloading information, from the cosmos. The universe is saying loud and clear, you don't hold back anything. If you're reaching out to her, you go all in and you clear the air with her and you tell her everything about why you've behaved the way you have, what you didn't want to tell her. And then you see if she loves you. But it would be an act of love for you to finally give her all of the information, right down to explaining how you feel about her and explaining why you didn't treat her the way you should have. But like, this is your chance to actually be humble and be real. And it would be an act of love to say, I know that you showed me love and transparency and I didn't show it to you. And this is me doing that even if you couldn't love me anymore because of the way I behaved or because of what I'm telling you. At least I need to just put it out there. That's what the universe's message is to them. Now, do they have the ability, if they're sending out prayers and they're asking the universe, what should I do? And then they're delaying and they're wondering again, if I returned, maybe I could get away with only like trying to return and heal things with her, but still keep some of the stuff hidden. That's always been what I've been trying to keep hidden. The universe is like, hell to the no. You don't get to do that. You go all in, or you go big or go home. Like, don't even do this unless you're going to go all in. So are you getting that memo from the universe? I'll say masculine. Are you, sorry. I'm trying to get the next deck. I'm dropping everything. Are you, let's go with this deck actually, now that I've torn everything up and made a mess. What are you, because it's time to wrap this thing up. It's time to go ahead and make some decisions about what you're going to do. King of Pentacles in the reverse, Hierophant upright. So they are very aware of what their higher self says. They're very, very clear on this. And we've seen the Hierophant come out quite a bit in this story. I think it's come out once in each of the 3 episodes of this. So again, their higher self is hearing the download from, the cosmos of, I either have to give everything or give nothing. And that is it. I mean, they're sitting here thinking about giving nothing. They may also be recognizing this has been incredibly selfish, the way they've tried to handle things. 7 of Wands and the Justice card. Them blocking. And if you remember all the way back in part 1, that was one of our first cards that came out, is 2 people understood that there was no 10 of Cups. And this is what we had in part 1. This is how we began. We had the blank card, we had the 10 of Cups in the reverse, and then we had the 7 of Wands with, and I didn't write that on the card. It says no justice written on the wall. And it's so interesting because we have the 7 of Wands with the Justice card. So we're right back where we began at the very beginning, which is, this was a travesty. The way this was handled, me fighting from, and not wanting to tell the truth, me not giving anything to this wonderful feminine who loved me and who I actually loved, but I was hell-bent. I would not tell her any truth. Even though I knew I was hurting her, I was still hell-bent on keeping my secrets and deciding I would just stay away from her instead. Or if she'd let me be around her, as long as she didn't ask me any questions about the stuff I don't want to talk about, then that could be okay. But otherwise, I'd rather be a lone wolf and give nothing. But they are like really having a coming to Jesus moment right now. They are looking at their behavior. They are also getting some serious karma right now. And they may be aware of that. Like, I messed this up so epically and I was so unkind to this person that I loved and who was nothing but sweet to me, understanding, trying to talk about love. She let him know that she really loved him. That was very clear. Okay, so he's in a world of hurt. He's in the hurt locker. That 9 of Swords is a very unpleasant place to be as he's thinking about this and feeling this. The tremulous, like, am I going to confess all this to her? And it's like really smacking hard all the damage that's already been done by them behaving this way. What is the karma that they're currently experiencing? We can see huge stress, but is it just because, huge stress over revealing everything? So this is awful because revealing the thing that they tried to hide, which is whatever they were embarrassed about, some fallen angel thing they felt embarrassed about. That's one part of it. But now they've compounded it and they've made it worse, because it also means they'd be revealing why they treated her the way they did. And that was super unfair. So now they got another thing to be embarrassed about. And it would bring all that to light. Again, are you going to be able to do this? Six of Cups says, as awful as this is, and as much as it's become like unbearable, right? They're drowning in this at this point. That's why they kind of have to. You know, they've reached a point where it's worse than it's ever been, because they've made all these mistakes along the way, behaved worse and worse, rejected, created more fights, ruined a chance to reconcile. Like every turn that they make in trying to cover the first thing that they're ashamed of, embarrassed of, which may not even be that big of a deal, but they're embarrassed of it, whatever mistakes they made. Every time that they've tried to cover this, the problems that they've produced have gotten worse and worse, more and more, to the point where they are buckling under the pressure of all their mistakes. Primarily because, and maybe this is going to sound backwards, but because they actually did love her, and they have done everything wrong. They have wronged this love story. They have wronged her. They have wronged their own heart. They have done everything wrong in trying to cover up the thing that they were embarrassed about. Because, you know, love does require us to be vulnerable with someone, and, you know, let them get to know us. And it is scary, but you have to, you know, that's what love is you get to know another person, let them get to know you, and then you can build a sincere bond. But in this effort that they had to keep their secrets and treat her poorly, but they still wanted her. I mean, it's just so many layers of wrong. And now it's become, even though, I mean, trust me, they don't want to have to do this. This is super scary to have to reveal everything. But at this point, that's it. It's the dam is breaking. So their confession is coming in. They're going to reach out and return to her, because they can't really not at this point. With the Star, you know what? It looks like she is going to be kind of, on one hand, above any of this. Like, them telling her all of this is not going to hurt her or upset her. She's already healed from it. So by the time that they explain all of this, she may very simply be able to like give them some kind of like absolution and be like, well, I hope it feels better to have just said it all out loud. I don't really know why you were so scared about this. But with the Page of Pentacles, she might even like make light of this and be like, well, I'm not sure why you carried that for so long. You know, whatever you perceive your mistakes were that you were so embarrassed of, like, I don't get it, because it's kind of small potatoes in the big scheme of life, don't you think? She may give them a reset button that is like, that's what you were so afraid to tell me. That's why you freaked out and didn't want to talk about a relationship until certain things that you'd made mistakes in your own life had all been cleaned up. You had debt you owed to somebody for a mistake you made. You got yourself in trouble with the law. Like, I mean, really? That's the big secret? This might be something that she just kind of like sweeps away to a certain extent. Like, well, they'll make mistakes, then we fix it up. That's what life's about, is patch it up, heal it up. But really, it's kind of a small thing. But here's the really big gift that she may be giving them, is the gift of, and we see this newborn baby, this fresh beginning, this, look, I don't know that she's saying, yay, now I'll be with you, because we saw her moving on. But we certainly, if they're actually coming in to give the full confession, which I do think is way overblown, at least from her perspective, it's way overblown. And we have a Six of Pentacles, we have the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups has, you know, this flower that's like bleeding, but this is kind of the tip of the iceberg about like really wrapping her head around what all this was about, the reason you held back from me. And now she may even think this person is kind of fragile, or maybe she understands, wow, somebody must have made you feel like any mistake you make is the biggest deal in the world. For you to be this freaked out about telling me something this simple, for you to sabotage a whole connection, you must have, maybe she's saying like you must have been traumatized, because this is almost like she feels sad for them, that all of this build up to something that never needed to be that big of a deal. She may have a lot of compassion in regards to them and a lot of gentleness in regards to them, but I feel like she also feels like this love and this like sadness for them. There's definitely like an energy with that Six of Pentacles of her connecting to them and like understanding at a really deep level. Ace of Swords in the reverse. She's not cutting them out of her life. She was over this and said, they must not want me. Whatever. I'm just going to move on. This is her saying, oh, I'm not going to let go of this person. After all, now they've said all this to me. Because honestly, I feel I care very much about them. And I'm thinking, God, they must have, whatever made them feel like they could never speak a truth, or they had to be so ashamed of something so stupid. That's over the top reaction. So I don't know. I almost feel like she's just very compassionate toward them. With the Fool, it's not lost on her what a big deal this was for them to actually come forward and like finally lay down their defenses and finally speak up. She may be saying, I want to wait and see, is this a turning point for them? Am I going to see a different version of them now that they've finally got this off their chest? And honestly, I don't really get what the big deal was. Let me just ask, Feminine, how are you in regards to, the arguments and the pushing you away kind of energy? How is that going to, like, how are you digesting all of that? Knight of Wands. She's going to digest it exactly as it was. So they wanted me, but they didn't want me to get too close. But man, have they had a hunger for me. So they were acting like a Knight of Wands, not because they were out trying to get passionate with other people, but because they wanted to keep things in the dark, keep me in the dark, so they didn't have to reveal their big secrets. But obviously I'm something that they really wanted, and that's all they could offer me was passion, and it made them very happy to have any interaction with me at all. She's, there's a worry on this note though, because it's like, if you can live your life just having like a little tiny dose of what you want, but not really building with someone, is that the way this person is? It's almost like she's saying, I would have to get to know who they are all over again now that I have this information. I don't really know how many other layers of stuck energy do they have, especially with the Eight of Swords being sideways. I don't know. Look, there's nothing here that says now these two are going to be happily ever after. But I will say this. This is not an uncomplicated story. And in fact, this is a Two of Cups relationship. There is an unconditional love. I even think she might be saying, I don't know. We could still end up maybe in a tremendous love story together, or they are somebody that I can't help but love, and I know in their way they love me too. But this is a complicated and scarred up person with some serious traumas. Maybe I'm in their life to kind of like be a touchstone for them to a certain extent. Because on one hand, she's like not even judging them. She's kind of saying, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? But then she's still wondering like, how are they programmed? I know that they care about me. I even know now that they do love me for all of their programming that has made them accept far less than what anybody should in life. You should be not living in fear of every teeny mistake you've ever made and think you're unlovable. So the best you could ever have is some, romance on the side, and have snatch moments of happiness. If they're going to keep living their life like this, always feeling like disgraced or something, that could be a really big problem. But on the other hand, she's like, look, I love this person enough to try to figure this out still with them. And let me just ask, final message. Are you masculine? Are you ready to try to figure this out with her? Because she's given you something maybe nobody else has. Okay, Death card sideways. Yes, but this could still be a journey for them. But Death card says this is their moment to stop being programmed the way they were. This is their moment to transform everything. She is their shot. This love story is their shot. She is giving them a doorway, and again, something where it's like she is a voice of reason in their otherwise like very highly charged and ridiculously like shamed life that they seem to have lived. She is that doorway that could open it up and say, you don't have to live like that. Don't beat yourself up like this. They want to make the change, and this is very hopeful that they will. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thanks for being here, guys.